Listen, if you are an Ohio DODD provider, I can tell you right now that if you're struggling to get clients, you are probably doing something I see all of the time, starting in the hardest lane. And I'm going to explain today what I mean by that, okay? So I always get providers who tell me I've been going after clients for X amount of months, 3 months, 6 months, and I've been struggling. I barely hear back. And if I do hear back, after I hear back and I have interviews, there's crickets. And I can tell you why. I have been doing this for a good while now. I've been doing this for over 6 years as far as a consultant, helping people get clients. And it's always one of 3 reasons. But today I'm going to break down the number 1 reason that Ohio DODD providers are struggling to get clients. The number 1 mistake they're making. You are starting in the hardest lane. And so once people get approved, this is what they do. They decide that they maybe look at all the money that you can make, okay? So they probably have been in the field. They saw that the agency they were working for was making a lot of money, and they probably was doing home care to make that, to generate a large amount of revenue. So when my people get approved, they think like, it was good money in home care, so I'm going to start with HPC. And HPC is very lucrative. Do not get me wrong. HPC is very, very lucrative. I myself provided HPC as an agency as well. So this isn't to steer anybody away from doing HPC. However, when you're a new provider, HPC is the hardest lane because it takes having capital so that you can make sure you're paying people. It takes being able to prove that you're going to be able to provide this service. And that's not to say you won't be able to get HPC clients. But starting off with HPC is a waiting game. I see people start off with HPC, and so they take clients that only have 5 hours. They take clients that is so high behavioral, it's hard to staff because they started in that hard lane, so they're getting the people who are left over. But the beautiful thing about starting in an easier lane is you're going to be able to boost your reputation quickly. You'll be able to build your reputation quickly if you do not start in the hardest lane. So today we're going to talk about that number 1 mistake. As I said, that mistake is starting in the hardest lane. And I'm going to tell you 3 things that starting in the hardest lane is costing you. Number 1, starting in the hardest lane is making you have to compete with established providers. And people get this wrong, okay? I hear a lot of people say the reason they're not getting clients is because the market is saturated. And I can promise you there's tens of thousands of clients. So when I say you're competing with established providers, that is not to say that the market is so saturated that you're not going to be able to get clients. So hear me clearly. I am saying that starting in the hardest lane is going to make it difficult because you're competing with established providers because they have already built their reputation. That is what I'm talking about. And you still need to build yours, but you can do it. So it's not to say you're not going to get clients. It's to say go into a lane where there's going to be more opportunity for you to build your reputation so that those harder, more complex cases, HPC cases, are going to be easier to get. So the thing about starting with competing with established providers is they are already known. So, hold on, they put you're competing with established providers. And I know my handwriting is horrible, guys, but the established providers are already known. They're already trusted. because they have already proven to support administrators that they can fulfill the shifts, that they can be reliable, that they can be counted on, that they have backup staff. All these things, think about when you think about HPC, all the things that have to come in play. 24/7 care for the ones that's going to be real lucrative. We're talking about a lot of hours. So they want to make sure that you're going to be able to fulfill this case. So they want to make sure that you're an established agency who has proven that they can do this. And that has nothing to do with being new, as I stated before. You can prove that you're an established provider by taking other cases first. And I don't mean those 5-hour HPC cases. I mean in a different lane so that you can start rubbing elbows with these essays and prove that you can be trusted, so that you can become known, so that your name gets out there. So they have already established relationships with support administrators. So that's number one. That's number one of what it's costing you when you're starting in the hardest lane. Number two is you haven't built visibility yet. Your name hasn't become out there yet. You want your name to get out there, and the way you do that is by not starting in the hardest lane that's going to get you 1 and 2 HPC clients, where you're still going to be a well-known secret. But if you start taking those cases in other lanes, and by other lanes, I mean other services, you start providing those other services first. And what services do I mean? Non-medical transportation. That's a good one. You can get your name out there quickly by starting with non-medical transportation. You get you a nice amount of clients. Support administrators will see that you're reliable. They'll see that you can be trusted. They'll see that you can provide the service and fulfill the demand. And then after that, then you're moving to those more complex cases, because what? You've proven your reputation. Okay? So when you become visible, which is number two, you haven't become visible yet, but you will become visible when you take those cases that aren't the hardest lane. Like I said, with non-medical transportation, it's going to allow you to build that reputation quickly. It's going to allow you to build trust. You're going to be communicating with support administrators consistently, so it's going to allow you to establish relationships. Which is all going to help you to get those more complex cases, those HPC cases that's going to pay more. By waiting and keep going after those HPC cases that you aren't getting, you're doing number three. Number three is you're losing momentum, which is also money. People don't understand that when you don't have clients, it's actually still costing you money, because you're paying workers' comp, you're maybe paying for an office, you're paying for things, and you don't have income coming in, so it's costing you money. So you're losing momentum and money. Which is, it's going to slow you down. It's going to slow down your progress. It's going to slow down your money, your confidence. It's going to make you not want to go after more clients, because you're going to start thinking, oh, it's something about me. Oh, the market is too saturated. Oh, it's too many DODD providers out here. You're going to start thinking things like that because you're killing your momentum, and momentum is money. You know, it's going to keep you from getting in the system quickly and proving who your agency is, so that you can build that reputation, so that you can establish those relationships and build trust. And it's going to make you lose out on opportunities. So what you don't want to do is to spend 3, 4, 6 months trying to go after HPC cases and lose money, lose momentum, lose your confidence. You don't want to do those things because it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. The best thing you can do is to start off in a lane that allows you to establish your reputation quickly so that you can build fast. You want to build fast. Success loves speed. And the way you can do that is by starting off in the different sectors outside of HPC. Start off in those different sectors and then allow those sectors to build on each other so that you can be able to show who you are, show what your agency represents, and then take on more of the market share. That's what you want to do. And when you do not do this, it slows you down, it costs you money, and it costs you time. I hope this helps you. I will be breaking down this even further in our Saturday CEO session. I'll include the link soon so that you can begin to register, so that you can come to a 90-minute session where I break all this down. If you've been struggling to get clients, you definitely want to be in that session so I can help you even further. Have a good one.